Hey folks, this is Willie with UV Laser Channel. So, as you can see, we are working on some glass today. Um, I'm doing a test grid, and that's what's running right now. While that's going through, I'm going to take you over to our light burn screen, and I'm going to show you a little bit about the settings on getting set up for the glass work. A couple of few notes while I'm doing this. Remember that when on a UV, the focus is so tight that you can easily actually shoot through the glass and mark the back side. And that test grid that you see there in the beginning, beside that one, is just that. Uh, it actually took and engraved on the backside because I had to focus too far down. So here we are in the light burn, and once again, I'm going to save this to glass and push OK. So what you're seeing here is I've got my speed as one of the parameters, and it's marking between 100 and 300 because I know that in glass work, those are about the maximum you're going to be able to get out of that. And then I have my Q pulse between a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 3. And I am running right now at a frequency of 45 kilohertz. And again, you don't have to look at this Q pulse width because that's not what it's running at, because that's part of the settings in here. My lines per inch is 1,000, and I have my crosshatch on. So that is basically a good starting point. Now, your lines per inch on glass work, you can actually get it on up there if you wanted to. That's going to be up to you. It's going to depend on what you're looking for. Go ahead and run your scan angle, though, at a 45. That seems to work the best. And so that's running right now. And I don't want to interrupt that so we can get the settings in there. But you'll notice over here, too, over here on the left side, we actually have a monogram that we're going to hopefully have time to run and just kind of get an idea of how it works. Glass. Where can I get glass? You know, guys, you don't have to go buy expensive wine glasses right off the bat. Run over to Home Depot. I bought these little panels of glass, I think, for like $3 a sheet, $4 a sheet. Works great. It's a good little sample base just to kind of get set up, run some different, test grids and what have you, and, play around with. Um, Now, I will tell you that the wine glasses and tumblers and what have you are going to present their own difficulties because a wine glass will have the shape and everything in it that you're going to have to battle. And once this test grid gets finished running, I'll show you on this glass how you can run on the inside and outside. Now, under normal circumstances, that's not an issue. But if you're trying to do any type of gilding work, then it may present a problem. One of the projects that I will do on one of my streams here next down the line is I have some liquid mask that is coming, and I want to try to apply that to the glass, run the laser, and see if I can then apply my gilding on top of that. If that's the case, then any inconsistency as to the ablation on the top of the glass will not matter. But when you're trying to do a gild work on your glass work, then you want to have all of that at the top so that it really shows up. I have three different types of gilding that I've been working with, trying to find the best. One is a rub and buff, which is uh, a very easy application as long as you have that etching on the top of the glass. The other is a actual gilding where you use gold leaf, and another is a paint application. The paint application would work with the masking agent, even if it doesn't have an etch on the top to hang on to. Um, and the same way with the gilding, as long as you're using a permanent gilding adhesive. Um, but we'll get into that in its own section because it would just take too long to get into to go through it in detail. So let's go back and while that is running through, as you can see, the glass etching takes a little bit longer. It is something that's a little slower process. Now, I could have made my grid smaller. You can do that, by the way. Um, while this is continuing to run, I'll show you some of the little ins and outs of that. Um, so, over in Lightburn, if you'll look down in your height and width, you can actually make those blocks smaller, and that'll speed the process up. Um, you can also obviously change the number of blocks or squares that will run. I left it at the default of 10, but you can adjust that. A couple other notes about doing glass, folks. It is extremely important that you are wearing your safety glasses. Um, glass has its own reflective properties, and as the UV is running over the frosting that it's already placed once, it can, start bouncing around. The thing about a UV laser compared to the CO2 and fiber laser is that the wavelength is obviously in the visible wavelength for your own eyes, um, but it acts much like a welder. It will, even if the laser, you know, isn't in your direct line of sight, but you're getting reflectives off of it, it can really mess with your eyes, and you can get a laser burn or welder's eye, if you will, much easier with the UV laser. So it is definitely important that you are wearing your safety glasses with the UV laser. Obviously, it's just as important to be doing so with the fiber and the CO2, but um, it's just a word of caution. Even if you have some kind of shield or something like that where it's not in your direct line of sight, that light bouncing around can definitely mess with you. I know this one's taking a little bit longer than the other channel or other materials, but I want you to be able to get a true aspect or concept of the length of time so that you consciously have that in your mind, when you're deciding on what materials you want to work with. Glass is another object that it is very important to have some good ventilation. Uh, uh, Pulling this stuff away from you, it does have this is ablating the material away. Okay, so you have that very fine silica dust that's coming off of this glass, and you don't want to be breathing that stuff. Now you can really hear it when you're hitting glass right. Um, it has a nice clean buzz to it. It's the easiest description that I can. I mean, the closest description that I can make, and obviously you can see it. This webcam does not do it justice. And right now, with the beam overriding the camera, it's kind of hard for you to see it, but you will here in a moment. Now, I understand that a laser grid is not as pretty as doing some graphic, but it gives you a better representation of the laser's capability than just running a graphic. So let's move this. Oh man, that's pretty. damn light. Now, folks, I know it's hard to see on that camera, but maybe you can hear it. That is about the cleanest etch you're going to find, and it would make it would easily mark as far as on a doing the gilding or any of that. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and let's so with this for glass, we are going to close here. Speed is going to be 150. Frequency is 45. The Q pulse is 1. Your lines per inch is at least 1,000. Okay. You're going to want a really tight lines per inch, crosshatch, and 45 degree. And that is going to give you the best settings for glass. And as I said, a minimum of 1,000. You can actually go up to 1,500. Matter of fact, we'll do that. We'll take this up to 1,500. And push OK. So do you remember how to set a material library? Go to your library. Go to create from new layer. And click glass. Glass etch. White. Okay. And you have the no thickness. And then press OK. And now we have glass in our library. Now, how about we do a monogram? So for those of you that may or may not know about some of the tricks and features of Lightburn, you notice that you can't actually see my arrow on here, but you can see the box. If you draw a square from left to right, you have to completely enclose the object that you're trying to select. If you go from right to left, anything that the box touches, it will select. So here is a monogram. Okay. Oh, let's see. What do we want to put in here? Oh, let's just do my normal laser to leather. Oops. Leather and Algerian and bring that down to fit. Select both objects. Go to align center. Perfect. And select both objects and hit P, and it is ready to go. So you can get these images, folks, and then actually have an image library. If you go over to your window and go down to do art library, and then you can actually, you notice here I have monograms. You can actually, since this monogram here is already selected, just simply import graphic from project, and since this is a D, we'll put D with line. Import it in, and now I have it over here in my art library. All right, so I would imagine this is a little large, so we're going to bring it down just a little bit smaller, center it back in, and let's go to our laser, frame it up. Actually, that's a little small. There we go. That'll work. And frame up again. Now, I had mentioned earlier that you can easily shoot through the glass and engrave on the back side of it. So if you run into that, all you have to do is raise your focus up and engrave on the outside. But just be aware of that. Okay, let's run it. And I will switch you back over. So I will actually go ahead and apply some of this rub and buff to this. I have some black. Um, I ran out of gold. I don't have any more with me. Now, this would actually be just about the right size monogram, perhaps just a slight bit smaller to be running on a wine glass or similar tumbler, either stemless or stemmed. I like running these monograms because they do actually run fairly quickly. By the way, it's been my experience that a trace works better than a standard image like a Stucky or what have you. I like to just trace my images and save them in that library file. Um, as far as working with glass, the issue that I have with doing an image is that since I don't have any control over the power, it's much harder to get good results. And that's just perhaps me personally, something that I'm missing in knowledge or whatever, but that is why. All right. Wow, that's pretty. Now you can't hardly see it, right? Watch this. So just a little bit of this rub and buff, and I mean a little. It does not take much. You just kind of buff it in with your finger, and then take you a paper towel and voila. So didn't get all the buff off of here, but as you see, it really does an incredible job. So, uh, engraving on glass once again. Now, it's going to take more than one or two or three times to really work out all the little kinks. Um, I'm still getting this rub and buff stuff figured out and getting a clean engraving that stays, or I should say with the rub and buff. Um, but I do have some, like I said, some paint and everything. It's a gilding paint. It's not a. It is a gilding paint that I'm going to try too. I, I appreciate you guys joining me today. But so we'll go back to the settings real fast. Just to recap on those for glass, speed 150, frequency 45, Q pulse 1, lines per inch 1500, scan angle 45 degrees, have your crosshatch on. Folks, you have a great day, and thank you for joining me on the UV Laser Channel. Signing off. Bye.